Did you prepare for your interviews?
So for the Microsoft interview specifically, my internship was very different from other fellow interns. This is my first internship only.
So, how was your journey from a tier 3 college to Microsoft?
Okay, so that's very interesting.
So, how these platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and Reddit helped you in your career?
Okay, so LinkedIn is something that I was.
Hi everyone. This podcast is going to be very interesting. Today we have Ruma, who has recently completed her 2 months internship from Microsoft. She is a student in final year from the same college from where I graduated in 2021, that is BIT Sindri. In this video, we are going to have conversation about her journey from tier 3 college to getting an internship at Microsoft, and we will also talk about how did she get to know about the opportunity, how did she apply for the role, and most importantly, how did she prepare for those interviews. And you will get insights about her work experience at Microsoft. How did joining tech industry for the first time change her perspective about software engineers? So watch this video till the end. Let's start.
Hi Roma. First of all, thank you so much for coming to this podcast. Already मैंने आपका introduction दे दिया है, but can you introduce yourself?
So, hi ma'am, and hi to the YouTube audience. So, my name is Ruma Karn, and I'm currently studying in final year at Birsa Institute of Technology, Dhanbad, and my branch or my major is computer science and engineering.
So, how was your journey from a tier 3 college to Microsoft? आपने challenges तो obviously face किए ही होंगे, तो आपके क्या-क्या challenges थे journey में और आपने उन challenges को कैसे overcome किया? I think this question is asked by a lot of audience, so it will be helpful for them.
I think third या final year आते तक आपको बहुत सारे मतलब opportunities मिलती हैं internships की या उस time पे चीजें थोड़ी सी easy हो जाती हैं क्योंकि job market third और final year candidates को बहुत ज़्यादा consideration में लेता है.
Right.
But when I started in my first year, we didn't used to get as many opportunities as we expected. So like बहुत सारे internships ऐसी होती हैं जो बस on campus students के लिए आती हैं like for tier 1 college और हमें वो चीज़ नहीं मिलता था. In fact, while applying to several companies, हमें हमारे college list में दिखती नहीं थी. So we had to choose that others option and then enter the name of our college. तो वो चीजें थोड़ा सा आपको फील कराती हैं कि आप थोड़े से बैकवर्ड स्टेट पे हो, मतलब एक इनसिक्योरिटी सा क्रिएट कर देती है. बट तो वो एक चैलेंज था. एंड दूसरा चैलेंज वाज कि हमारे कॉलेज में एक बडिंग टेक कम्युनिटी है. सो इट्स नॉट दैट फ्लरिश्ड एज इट इज इन IITs or NITs. So there are numerous students who are doing coding, but there is not enough of that culture. But yeah, in other tier 3 colleges, I see it's much less. But in our college, it's like flourishing. It's a lot better now.
So were you part of this community?
Yes, I was. So I was lucky enough to be a part of the official coding club of our college, that is HNCC. And now I'm the vice president of it. So it feels really nice. And we regularly organize many contests like from our end also, from the colleges and also it happens. So students are very engaged.
So आपने कौन से year में join किया HNCC and how it helped you in your preparation?
Okay, so I joined in the first year only. And in the very first month of when the inductions were going on. और जब मैंने HNCC से join किया ना तो बहुत सारे seniors थे were already doing lots of things like CP कर रहे हैं कुछ लोग, they are very proficient in web development. तो even if there is not someone who is like going to make you sit and guide through all of it, आपको एक environment मिल जाता है. जब आप देखते हो कि आपके अराउंड लोग इतना अच्छा कर रहे हैं and being from the place where you are from, तो आपको एक instant motivation मिल जाता है basically. So there were many seniors who were like quite good at CP, many who had already cracked GSOC. So that was kind of a source of motivation from me. So I also started doing the same, following the same path as they were following. And then I created my own from all sorts of like experiences.
I agree with your point कि environment बहुत ज़्यादा important होता है. अगर आपके साथ वाले लोग अगर बहुत अच्छा कर रहे हैं तो आप खुद ही खुद को push forward करते हो कि मुझे इतना तो करना ही है या उनसे अच्छा तो करना ही है. और वो इन्वॉल्वमेंट नहीं मिलता तो हम कितना भी ट्राई कर ले, हम थोड़ा सा करते हैं, हमें लगता है कि हमने बहुत कुछ कर लिया, बाकी लोग तो कुछ भी नहीं कर रहे, हमने थोड़ा किया है, बट वो एनफ नहीं होता है. तो आई हैव माई सेल्फ फेस दिस. तो मुझे ये लगता है कि इन्वॉल्वमेंट का बहुत ज्यादा ही रोल होता है. ओके, तो आपने इंटर्नशिप की है माइक्रोसॉफ्ट से 2 महीने के लिए. तो व्हाट वर योर इनसाइट्स ड्यूरिंग दोज 2 months? What project did you work on? और आपके की टेकअवेज क्या रहे इंटर्नशिप से?
Okay, so my internship was very different from other fellow interns. So they had to work on something like maybe React or Android or generic things that you may find or may not find on the internet. But mine was completely those things that are related to Microsoft's internal tools.
Was
So
it
I cannot even
challenging for you?
disclose them.
Okay,
Yeah, it
was
was
it
very
challenging?
challenging. Yeah.
Mhm.
So it was something that it was like a transition phase. So even my like other full stack, the team members who were in full time, even they were going through that transition phase. So they were
Okay.
not enough resources for that, but whatever it was, they were very helpful throughout.
Okay.
So my project was basically around an upcoming sovereign cloud environment. So basically what Microsoft does is that they create a tailored or personalized cloud environment for different countries. So I had to work on the platform development for that. And basically, I was given a task to automate the processes which already exist. I had to
Okay.
make it completely like low touch. So that was it. I had to understand many C# workflows, and then I had to run many partial scripts, and that was all like my all day work. And troubleshooting is one of the skills that really mattered there.
Okay, so what were your key takeaways from that internship?
Firstly, teamwork. आपको पता चलेगा कि यार टीम वर्क कितना ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है.
Right.
हर चीज कितने सिंक में होना जरूरी है. एक मिसकम्युनिकेशन और वो जाने अनजाने बहुत सारे एरर्स का कॉज बन सकती है. दूसरी चीज वुड बी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स. लाइक माय कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स वर इवैल्यूएटेड एवरी सेकंड एट माइक्रोसॉफ्ट. So that really matters. Third key takeaway would be that networking. Like how many people you interact with every day. I used to go to the bus, I used to take shuttle, and I used to talk to some senior manager is sitting next to me, some senior software engineer is sitting next to me, and I get to talk to that person. So that is something that I used to dream of when I was in college, and I got that opportunity there. So networking is something, like personally my favorite takeaway from there.
Okay, so was this your first internship या फिर आपने पहले किया है कहीं पे internship?
Technically speaking, this is my first internship only. I had cracked something called as MyTax Global Link Research Internship earlier, but because of the timings, I couldn't join it. So I chose Microsoft then. So it is my first.
How did you apply for this internship? को पता कैसे चला कि internship opening है अभी internship के लिए? कैसे पता चला आपने किन लोगों से कांटेक्ट किया, फिर रेज्यूमे कैसे बनाया? एप्लीकेशन प्रोसेस आप पूरा एक्सप्लेन कर दो.
ओके, सो मैं बहुत सारे टेलीग्राम ग्रुप्स पे हूँ और बहुत लिंक्डइन पे माइक्रोसॉफ्ट के पेज को फॉलो कर रखा है. देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज जॉब सेक्शन. इफ यू गो एंड टर्न ऑन द नोटिफिकेशंस देयर, देन एवरी ओपनिंग दे हैव, यू विल गेट द नोटिफिकेशन फॉर इट. Also, I have been rejected by Microsoft like thrice before this. So I always used to apply to Microsoft via career portal. So I have also kept the notifications on there. So as soon as they have a new opening, it comes to my email. So that's what happened. After facing rejection 3 times, the 4th time I got the notification. So I applied via the
I was also
portal.
rejected 5 to 6 times. Like my resume was not even shortlisted, even after taking reference. So after 5 or 6 times, I got shortlisted for the interviews. Yeah,
exactly,
so it happens.
That's what happens.
Yeah, it happens.
So I applied via career portal. I was not expecting to get shortlisted. I did. And then I received an OA link. So there were 2 questions there. I cannot discuss the questions because of NDA. So yeah, I had solved one and solved the other one. Like I would say 80% of the test cases passed.
Okay.
So I was lucky because in the second question I have encountered earlier, sort of similar question. So I was able to solve.
So what was the difficulty level of the questions? Was it very hard or lead code medium level types?
I would say lead code hard.
Lead code medium to hard, or
one is medium and the other one is hard. Generally, that's the case.
Okay.
So and then
what were the other rounds?
Yeah, so there were technical rounds, and then there was AA round, which is basically HR round, but Microsoft likes to call it A, just like Google calls it googliness.
Okay, so how many rounds did you give for interviews?
So there were 2 rounds only, I would say, because the third was more like a screening. I would not consider that as an interview. So the first round, I had DSA questions, 2 along with follow-ups, and they do not expect you to like compile the code and run it, but they do expect you to have production-ready code. Like, and it should be the most optimized approach. Like in my in the first question that they gave me, so they asked the time complexity. I said it's O of n, and they were like, no, it's not O of n, it's O of 2n. So traverse the data structure just once. So that's the level of optimization they want. And I don't know how I figured out, and I was able to crack for the first round. And then there was a call on the same day, and I picked up the call with lots of apprehension that what's going to happen. And they said that you have qualified the first round, and your second round will be scheduled in 5 minutes only, like 15 minutes only.
Okay.
And it was an AA round where they discussed about my projects. It was a very senior engineer who had been working there for like 10 to 12 years. And then he asked me various like situation-based questions. And he also asked me like, how do you stay updated like with the tech world?
Okay.
So they assess your whole personality. Like they want to know if you're someone who just sits and practice DSA, or you're someone who is genuinely interested in tech.
So how did you stay updated?
That is one of the things.
Just share with the audience also.
Okay, so that's very interesting. Yeah. So I used to stay updated by LinkedIn, and I said LinkedIn very first, like as soon as they asked me the question, I said it within microseconds, because I knew that LinkedIn is something which is associated with Microsoft. I need to say it. So I said that. And then Twitter, I'm active on Twitter also. And then there was Reddit. So these 3 things.
So how these platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, and Reddit helped you in your career?
Okay, so LinkedIn is something that I was a part of even when I didn't start my college. So before that also I was on LinkedIn. And because there were some people around me who once mentioned or coined the term. So I was very curious ki kya hota hai LinkedIn. So I just made an account, and I had written that I attended this school, and I used to make connections with people who were like in man companies, because it was kind of my dream from the very beginning. So I started there, and then LinkedIn helps you on building connections with like anyone. You can even connect with Satya Nadella if you want. So it lets you connect with various HRs and senior engineers. That is a very big deal. So it gives you kind of a platform and form an identity of who you are as a tech person.
Okay.
Secondly, there was like Twitter.
LinkedIn is it seems like networking is your favorite thing to do, right?
Yeah, it helps a lot. It really helps.
I agree with it. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And what about other platforms? Twitter and Reddit? How did they help you?
Okay, so Twitter is basically something, if you want to dive deep into something and connect with people who are genuinely very curious about it. Like, suppose you're doing web development and you want some really good design to take inspiration from. You can go there, you can just search with the hashtags, and there will be multiple posts about, genuinely good designs, genuinely good approaches. So in-depth approaches are there on Twitter. The tech community is very active there, I would say. Third was Reddit. Reddit was something where you can just anonymously go and connect to like-minded people. So you can go to like any sub, and it is basically like a dukh sharing. It was for me a dukh sharing place. So every time I used to like feel dejected or not able to figure out what to do next, I would go on Reddit.
So that's interesting about your social media journey. Yeah. So it was very interesting to know about your internship journey and your application process. And you use social media very effectively to reach your career goals. So now everyone would be interested in knowing did you prepare for your interviews?
So for the Microsoft interview specifically, when I received the kind of email about my internship, so it was very generic throughout. But then as soon as I got to know that my interviews will be conducted, I went to GFG instantly. And then there were questions tagged with Microsoft GFG and LeetCode both. And also, if you go to interview bit, they create a curated list of problems actually asked in the previous interview. So that also helped. So I used to apply filters and solve questions every day. That was my approach. And also you need to go through, you can also. So I utilize Medium a lot. I used to go to Medium and search for interview experiences because that kind of gives you an insight in raw form. कि क्या होने वाला actually. So वो kind of prepared me for that interview. And ये मेरा पहला technical interview था, so I had no idea what was going to happen. So I was taking it like I was very nervous, but end में I started taking it like a test ball. कि चलो let's just give it all and not stress too much about it. And that attitude I think helped me a lot.
And before getting this interview call, what topics did you prepare?
Okay, so I had prepared like everything from every data structure to not the advanced ones like secondaries and all, but I would say that it's good to know till thrice, and I did that. DP I used to practice a lot, and then many approaches like 2-pointer approaches or the sliding window thing. I used to practice questions based on that.
Did you make any projects also during college?
Yes, I did. So I had made 2 full stack projects, and both were very different from each other. So that kind of helped a lot during, they do not focus, Microsoft didn't focus much on my project, but yeah, they do ask you and they analyze whether you have made everything from scratch or not. And if they detect you, then you will be caught very instantly. But thankfully, I did it all by my own, like from like
which tech stack did you use there?
So I used Monstack, which was Monstack.
So both of your projects were in Monstack. Okay, right.
And I used libraries like Material UI for one. That makes your like project a lot easier to maintain, like the UI part.
Okay. So my next question is, was there any skills or knowledge that you learned in your BTech that you applied there in the internship, which may have helped you in the internship?
Yeah, so very interesting. And I think nobody would expect me to say that, but there was a subject called flat, which helped me.
Okay.
Very.
So people usually say that you only have to study DSA and computer fundamentals like DBMS and operating system, and that's it. But you are saying of another subject which no one would expect that has helped you in the internship.
Yeah, I think people would expect OOPS or something.
Right.
But it was flat, which actually helped me at one point. I was stuck there and I was not able to understand it. So basically, we had to understand a lot of C# workflows. So it's not very generic like C++, that you will see the structure of the file and you will get to know ki kya kaise ho raha hai. It will take some time for you, a lot more time for you to discover how things are happening. So there was a thing called, I cannot tell you the exact concept, but that concept is used by Microsoft. And to explain it, so I was really stuck and not able to understand what it was. So I asked my help from my mentor. And he explained me that thing using a concept of flat that was finite automata. And that's when I understood the importance of it, like how important it is. So he explained me like a kid. Yeah. So he explained me how the entire workflow is functioning and why this part is like this, the way it is supposed to.
Nice. That's really interesting. So it's also important to focus on other subjects instead of just doing DSA and operating system and OOPS, right?
Yeah, that's true. Like whatever you are studying, I would say just get a gist of it, that if someone at some point of life gives you that context, so aapko samajh aaye. Like my mentor asked me, do you know what finite automata is? And I was like, yes, I know, definitely.
You go for computer science background only. But what about other students who are interning in Microsoft and they are not from computer science background? So उनके लिए फिर क्या challenges होते हैं?
So many of my fellow interns were from ECE.
Right.
And there was one person who was from mechanical also. So for them, what they do is that they have to manage their own subjects also, and then computer science fundamental also. So they take time out to like kind of grasp the computer science fundamental concept also. So that's definitely a challenge for them. I used to ask them, what about your ECE subjects? And they were like, oh my God, they're way harder compared to CS ones.
I also heard this review.
Yeah. So they were like, since we are going like studying something which is so like tough, CS becomes a bit easy on their side, but yeah, it's an additional pressure. And you have to cover this also for the interviews. So that was a challenge for them. Rest, uh, whoever comes there, they are all very like sharp-minded people, I would say. They have a lot of presence of mind, so they are able to grasp things.
So you told me that it was your first internship, right, in the tech industry, or your first internship in during your college times. So you must be having some perspective about the tech industry. So did that change after joining Microsoft, or was it same?
No, it changed completely. I used to think working in tech is something which is way out of my league. And वहाँ पे जो लोग जाते हैं सब बहुत smart होते होंगे. They have a lot of like वो होता है ना sharpness factor. तो वो शायद मेरे में नहीं है और वो लोग robots की तरह काम करते होंगे दिन भर. And बहुत सारी चीजें थी. कभी कभी ये भी लगता था कि नहीं यार, सुना है कि मतलब बहुत कूल लोग होते हैं, शॉर्ट्स वॉर्ट्स में ऑफिस जाते हैं. तो एक्चुअल सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स. एंड देन व्हेन आई वेंट देयर माय पर्सपेक्टिव चेंज. तो मुझे पता चला कि everyone does not know everything, and there is very certain thing that you need to work on, but you need to be a master of it. Like, और वो experience के साथ आता है. तो even if someone goes there who does not know anything about that particular tech stack, like I was working on cloud, I didn't know even C of cloud. But when I went there, then you're provided with such good environment, resources, and helpful teammates that you will ultimately be able to learn it. And with experience, like everything becomes like a cup of tea. So that is what I learned there.
Okay, that's nice to hear. Even before I joined Microsoft, my opinion was also similar to what you said now. So, is there any advice you would like to give to students who want to intern at Microsoft or any tech companies, or those who want to join full time?
Yeah. So I would just say that be prepared from your end. Like, if an opportunity comes to you, you should not, afterwards feel like, oh, I was not prepared enough. You should be able to have that feeling that I have given my 100%. And after that, if it doesn't happen, just don't bother over it. Just don't think about it that much. So when this opportunity came to me, I had that feeling कि मतलब वो feeling हमेशा रहती है कि I'm not prepared well enough, but somewhere in your heart you know that I am that prepared कि मैं इसको tackle कर सकती हूँ.
Like I have done some effort, right? हाँ.
Yeah.
तो वो confidence आ जाता है if you put some efforts in it.
हाँ. Just be honest to yourself कि अपने आप को धोखा मत दो. मतलब be consistent and just do your best as you can. और कोई opportunity आती है तो अगर even if you are not able to crack it, just tackling it and being able to get over it is a very big deal. तो वो चीज के लिए हमेशा ready रहना चाहिए कि if I sit in an interview, I do not go blank. I am able to give a solution. Maybe it is not the most optimized one, but I should able to give the best. I should be able to think the best that I can. तो वो एक चीज advice देना चाहती हूँ. And start early. I know there are many people who start late and then they are able to catch up, but not everyone has that capability. So I think you should start early only. That helps.
And what do you mean by starting early?
By starting early, I mean that there are many students who kind of, in the first year, they have that feeling that, okay, I have lots of things to explore. Not in the sense of tech, but all many things. When you go to college, you are distracted by a lot of things. But yeah, it's good to enjoy, but kind of reserve some time for what you have came for to college, right? So even if you are taking
कौन से year में start करना चाहिए coding?
I would say as early as you can. So
first year.
In the first year only. In fact, in first year you have that curriculum. In your curriculum there are C++ languages.
Right.
So at least being able to master a language and then pick your domain is something that you should do at the end of a year.
Okay. और कुछ स्टूडेंट्स की इनसिक्योरिटीज होते हैं, अगर वो कंप्यूटर साइंस बैकग्राउंड से नहीं है या फिर कोई अच्छे कॉलेज से नहीं है, तो वो स्टूडेंट्स के लिए आप क्या बोलना चाहोगे? कैसे इन सिचुएशन को टैकल करना चाहिए?
वो इनसिक्योरिटी आई थिंक हमेशा रहती है टीयर 3 स्टूडेंट्स को. आई यूज्ड टू पार्टिसिपेट इन बहुत सारे मतलब हैकेथॉन्स में पार्टिसिपेट करती थी और वहां पे दिखता था मतलब कि हमेशा जो लोग जीत रहे होते थे ना, दे वर फ्रॉम टॉप कॉलेजेस.
राइट.
और हम और अगर आप कोई ऐसा नाम स्पॉट कर भी लो ना जो अननोन है, तो वो बस एक या दो होते. तो वो इनसिक्योरिटी आ जाती है कि आर वी नॉट गुड इनफ. मतलब जस्ट वन जेई डिसाइडेड माय एंटायर करियर. बट Yeah, so वो चीज हटाने के लिए बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है. First
आई
of all,
थिंक
first
एक
is
फैक्टर मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि यू मेंशन अबाउट द इन्वायरमेंट, तो मे बी
yeah,
वो अच्छे कॉलेजेस में जाने के बाद आपको वैसा इन्वायरमेंट मिलता है, so all of the
environment.
people start performing good. So this
Exactly,
is a
that's
very
true.
yeah, this is very important factor here कि why most of the students from top colleges perform good.
Yeah, I'll tell you a thing that I when I went to Microsoft, there were fellow interns who had cracked off campus as well.
Hmm.
और उनकी colleges की situation ऐसी थी that it's not something that I will be able to describe. मतलब they had no coding culture at all, and I've seen
Okay.
people from there come to Microsoft. तो मतलब वो बहुत बड़ी बात थी, and I just asked them कि how many companies come to your college, and it was way worse than me or you can imagine. Like
Okay.
nothing, almost nothing. And so I then realized that I am very privileged to have come from a college where there is a budding coding culture and there are companies coming. So I would, a key insight that I took from them, I asked them that what motivated you, how you used to stay connected. So they had an answer कि यार कॉलेज में नहीं है कोडिंग कल्चर, बाहर तो है कॉलेज के. सो इंटरैक्ट विद पीपल फ्रॉम आउटसाइड योर कॉलेज और आउटसाइड द काइंड ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट दैट यू आर इन. मतलब आप अगर एक एनवायरनमेंट में हो, दैट्स नॉट द एंटायर वर्ल्ड लाइक, राइट. सो मतलब वहां से बाहर निकलना भी जरूरी है. तो आप इंटरनेट में हो तो आप, जैसे मैं सर्व करती थी, बहुत सारे लोगों से कनेक्ट करती थी. मुझे पता भी नहीं है मैंने रेडिट पे किससे किससे बात किया. आई डोंट नो. I was once talking to a person and he said that I have 7 years of experience, and I was like, where? And he said Google. So I was like, oh my god. So you don't know what kind of people you are connecting with. मतलब connections बहुत जरूरी है. तो आप बात करो, आप जब अच्छे लोगों से बात करना शुरू करोगे तो वो एक मेंटालिटी आ जाती
है. राइट, एंड वो कॉन्फिडेंस भी आ जाता है कि आई कैन ऑल्सो प्रिपेयर, आई कैन ऑल्सो गो देयर. जब तक आप एफर्ट ही नहीं करोगे तब तक लगते रहता है कि दिस इज इम्पॉसिबल थिंग टू डू. राइट,
एग्जैक्टली. मतलब आप स्टेप 1 लोगे ना तो स्टेप 2 और 3 आपको दिखना लगेगा कि क्या करना है आगे.
स्टेप 1 इज द हार्डेस्ट.
या दैट्स द टफेस्ट. तो और ब्रांच वाइज आई थिंक मतलब वो तो मैंने बोला था पहले भी कि थोड़ा सा वो चीज होता है कि यू हैव टू मैनेज थिंग्स. तो वो इनसिक्योरिटी होती है, बट देयर इज नथिंग टू बी इनसिक्योर ऑफ. मतलब आप जब आते हो ना, मतलब वहां पे अगर आप जाते हो ना, आपको ब्रांच के बेसिस पे कभी भी जजमेंट नहीं किया जाता है. बट हाँ, थोड़ी सा अपॉर्चुनिटीज मुझे लगता है ऑन कैंपस में कम हो जाती है, थोड़ी नहीं बहुत कम हो जाती है फॉर टेक कंपनीज. शायद कोर वाला को बैठने नहीं देते. But yeah, off campus is a big solution. It is a big pool of companies. तो आज अगर नहीं भी हो रहा तो कल you will get an opportunity. Maybe late, but yeah, it's not that you will not get it. If you're working hard, you will ultimately get something. That is what I mean.
This was very insightful. तो अब मैं लास्ट क्वेश्चन से पूछना चाहूंगी, व्हाट इज योर प्लान फॉर फ्यूचर? लाइक आपने क्या क्या अभी करने का सोचा है? व्हाट इज योर करियर गोल?
My career goal is definitely number 1 to secure a job at a good company. By good company, I mean not just Mang. There are many other companies like there is Atlassian, dreams of many, and then many companies to explore. So I would definitely want to be a part of one. No, even if it's not an MNC, a good startup, because startup, I have heard that it gives you the most number of skills that you can gain. तो अगर आप एक स्टार्टअप पे काम कर रहे हो ना, तो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट और एनी अदर एमएनसी वुड बिकम अ केक वॉक फॉर यू. तो वो चीज है. तो ये चीजें करनी है. एंड इफ इन फ्यूचर आई गेट द चांस, आई वुड लाइक टू स्विच टू managerial posts also, because I like taking roles or positions of responsibility. And I used to talk to many PMs and even my manager, like how did you get there? So I used to ask them a lot of questions. That is also what I aspire to do.
Nice. So thank you so much for coming to this podcast. It was very insightful conversation with you, and I hope my audience would have learned a lot from you, and it would be helpful for them. So
thank you, and let me tell you, you are like an inspiration for all the students of our college. That is what you must know.
I'm very happy to hear this.
Yeah, and you're like, I think one of the most talked about alumni of our college. That is what I would say.
Okay, I didn't know that, but it was good to hear.
Yeah, that's when I came the first day at MS, I knew I had to meet you. So I texted you immediately, and you saw my message immediately. So it was very nice of you.
It was nice meeting you. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.